Hi, I'm Ximena, and I'm here with Father Tom Walsh. The date is December 13th, 2023, and we're recording the interview in Chicago, Illinois. The first question I would ask you is, what is one of the most challenging things you face that taught you an important lesson that stuck with you?
One of the most challenging things I've faced that taught me an important lesson. I deal a lot with tragedies with people, with illness and death, and it's challenging because nobody wants to deal with those things. But I also recognize that everyone deals with it differently. And so I always try to make sure it's a challenge for me, but I gotta remember, it's not about what I think I wanna do, it's about what people need from me. So in a situation like that, I gotta take into consideration who the person is, what the situation was, and just try to be sympathetic, but also directly honest, but in a nice way. We call it in church a pastoral way, a way that shows we care in that, so.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Okay, can you tell me about a moment when a person's kindness made a difference in your life?
A simple one. I was in a Chipotle a couple of years ago, and I was buying my meal, and someone just came up from out of nowhere, basically, and said, well, I want to pay for his meal.
Oh, really? That is really kind.
And, I was kind of like, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do it. But, in the moment I realized they wanted to do it, I said to them, why did you feel compelled? I really appreciate it. And they said, no, you just look like a guy who maybe needed somebody to do something nice for him today. And it made me think, that, hey, if they can do that, why can't I do something like that?
Yeah, I also think that's like the little things that really stick with you.
Yeah.
How would you like your students to perceive you as?
Caring, honest, and also, on task. What I mean is that they understand there's a reason why we have this class, and I want them all to, what do I want them to see me as? Somebody who encourages them to do their best, and not just in this, but in everything in their lives. I just want to bring the best out of my students. So.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay. If you could talk to your past selves, what would you say?
Don't waste any day of your life. Don't look at today as it's so bad that, you just don't do anything. Because every day we have, whether we're feeling good or bad, whether we're excited or we're nervous about the day, we can get something positive out of every day. So don't waste the time you have.
Okay. How has your faith evolved over time?
It's grown, and I'd say in my teaching, my faith has grown a lot, because teaching, especially teaching religion, it's helped me understand that everybody comes to believe things in different ways, but the most important is experiencing it, that I can't talk about things if I don't really believe them myself. And that's something I really began to learn, let's say 15 years ago when I started full-time teaching, that if you don't believe what you're saying, you shouldn't say it. So that's increased me in an understanding of who I am and what I'm still becoming.
Okay. Do you have any regrets?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of regrets in life, too many to mention here in an interview, but I'll be honest, I wish I had applied myself more in school when I was in school. Not that I think I would have gone farther, but I could have learned more and maybe had a desire when I was younger to learn more things, to go more places, to get to know more people. So that's one of my regrets.
I also think it's like something that you can think about today too.
Think what now?
Like something you can think about today.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's glitching. Oh, okay. Is teaching what you thought it would be like?
Yes and no. I didn't realize how rewarding it would be. I think I just looked at it as an opportunity for me to teach, but I've also come to realize over the years how much students have taught me, how much they've revealed me, and how much it's enriched my life. I've learned as much from my students, I think, as they'll ever learn from me. I've learned a lot about them as they've opened up their lives to me.
And now I'm kind of curious. So, what's something that you've learned from your students?
Well, once again, I've always known this, but we're all different. But one of the things I've learned from my students especially is, gosh, how do you explain it? One thing, the world's different today than it was when I was a child, yet the issues are still the same. It's just like when I was a child, we didn't have computers and cell phones and texting and emailing and all that. And we relied on just the telephone. That's how we communicated when we weren't together, or we wrote letters. And what I've learned from my students today is, as much as the world's advanced, it's put more stress on them, I think, because there's this need to feel like you got to respond to everything immediately. Whereas in the old days, well, you responded, but the response didn't get there for a lot longer than it does today. And also it's taught me you better be careful what you say, because we used to say what you say can come back to haunt you. Well, in this day and age, it absolutely does, because people might be recording or whatever, so you got to really think before you speak.
Yeah, and especially with like text, like they're always there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I can't find it anymore. Oh, are there any funny stories you want to share?
About anything? About
Anything. Like the first thing that comes to mind.
I don't know. I remember one of the young men I was coaching about 20 years ago. I used to drive a lot of my players home because it was late at night and I didn't want them out in the dark and some of the neighborhoods they came from. But he was the one kid I could always rely on if I didn't understand something they were talking about and I should know. So they kept talking about this bling bling thing, and they were laughing, and I thought they were laughing at me and making fun of me, and I thought maybe bling means like old guy or something. And when he was the last one I dropped off because he lived kind of close to where I was at, and when everybody was gone, I said, his name was Brian, I said, Brian, what does this bling mean? Why are you guys talking about me? And he fell on, I had a minivan, he fell on the floor laughing at me because I totally misunderstood. Bling bling just meant, it was like jewelry, the glow from it, the shine from it. They were talking about that, and I thought they were talking about me. So that was, I kind of always crack up. I tell people that story a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think like, especially like someone's like laughing around you and you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to like misinterpret it.
You think they're talking about you, and it turns out they weren't at all. So.
Yeah. Now I wonder what they were talking about, what the jewelry was.
Yeah.
When you were in high school, did you end up doing what you had planned?
Pretty much. I mean, I think I didn't have a lot of goals in high school, but I was an athlete, and I was captain of my basketball team my senior year. I graduated from high school. That I had to do that. That was a goal. But I think the biggest thing I did was all the friendships that I made, and we've kept alive. When I get together with high school friends often enough, a few times a year. So that's definitely, we kept lifelong relationships, a lot of us.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And I have one more question. Who's your favorite student?
I have no favorite students. I hate everybody equally.
Okay.
Or I say I love everybody equally. No, I don't claim any favorites. I've learned you can't play favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not me.
Of course, I love everybody. So that's you, everybody. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Father Tom. I really appreciate it.
Okay. All right. You got to.